Hi everyone, welcome to our very first soft skill workshop. Today's topic is about teaching without ego. So the topic of ego is not something that shows up in your manuals or in your online library, but it's probably the most important part in becoming a great teacher, letting go of your ego. So just to be clear, when I refer to ego, I am not talking about arrogance. Really, ego is about fear. It's your fear of not being good enough, not being seen, not being validated. And when the fear takes over and it's in the driver's seat, we actually stop serving our students and we start trying to serve ourselves. We're serving that fear. So there are three parts where I see ego really creep up in a new teacher. The first is the ego that tries to prove. So when you're just starting out, maybe you've spent months or years learning this incredible material. The anatomy, the sequencing, the nuances of breath and movements, you've worked really, really hard. And you're excited, and now you're in front of a real client. So what happens? You try to give them everything you know in one session. You try to show off your knowledge. You throw them into complex movements before their body is ready. Or worse, you try to kill them with effort so that they leave sore and impressed. But here's the truth. If you're trying to prove how good you are, you're actually not paying attention to how ready they are. Real mastery is knowing how to hold back, when to do less. The body you're teaching is your priority, not your resume. A beginner needs space, safety, clarity. They don't need to see every trick you know or every Instagram reel you have seen. They need to feel seen. Over my nearly 2 decades of training teachers, I have to check in with myself on this very topic every semester. It's so tempting to try to tell you everything I've ever learned in 25 years of teaching in just a 6-month program. But if I do, you would be overwhelmed, or worse, you would regret your decision to become a teacher. Your job is to show up for your client and their needs, not your own. Learn to find your self-worth in providing clients with the tools that help them achieve their goals rather than how much you can make them hurt, burn, or sweat. The second area where I see ego creep in is when there's an empty class or a light schedule. It is so common that you check the schedule and you see that there's only 2 people signed up for your class, or worse, no one shows up. This can make new teachers spiral. I'm not good enough. People don't like me. I'm a failure. It was a mistake to try to make this career work. But this is where you need to zoom out. Every career path has a beginning. You are planting the seeds. You're not ready to pick the fruit. It takes time to build a following. It takes consistency, energy, and trust, and none of that happens overnight. I listen to a lot of podcasts. If you don't know that about me already, you're going to learn it. The ones that I listen to generally feature successful entrepreneurs, writers, actors, and founders. And there's one prevailing theme that always comes up no matter what the industry is, and that success takes a long, long time. You'll hear the stories of the actor who went to hundreds of auditions before booking their first commercial, the entrepreneur who made 127 failed prototypes before finally launching a product, the author who self-published 5 flops before they actually wrote their successful bestseller. And yet, when we begin teaching Pilates or yoga or whatever movement discipline we are, for some reason we expect that the room will be full right away, that our schedule will be packed, that every client will love us, because we assume that because we finished our training that we are ready. But readiness doesn't equal recognition, and this is where the ego starts to creep in. You walk into class and only one person is there, or maybe no one is there, and suddenly you're questioning your worth. Am I not good enough? Did I do something wrong? Or should I be doing this at all? But here's the truth. No one starts with a full room. Building a client base takes time. Finding your authentic teaching voice takes time. Learning how to connect with the right students, your people, takes time. And just like those actors and authors, you'll get better through repetition. You'll learn how to adjust your cues. You'll get clearer about your values. You'll become more comfortable in your own skin, and that is when people will begin to respond. That's when the numbers build. So let me say this clearly, you are not your attendance numbers. Do not measure your impact by how many people show up. Measure it by how present you are for the people who do, even if it's one. Even if it's 0 and you're just rehearsing your cues in the mirror or to an empty room, you know that I'm a big fan of that. The foundation of a teaching career is built 1 hour at a time, and none of those hours are wasted. So do your best work in front of those 2 people. Do your best work in front of 1. Because if you can hold the space for 1 student with excellence, you can hold the space for 20. And that's actually a good segue to the 3rd area that I see ego creep in. And that's when there's a belief that there's a certain type of work or a certain time slot that is beneath us. So maybe you don't want that early morning time slot. Maybe you don't want that class at 3 p.m. with the 1 retiree. Maybe you don't work weekends. You don't want to work with the post-rehab client or the person who's never been on a reformer. New teachers graduating from any program and starting work in an established studio cannot expect to jump straight into the ideal schedule. 8, 9, and 10 a.m. Monday through Friday with no evenings or weekends. These are the classes that are packed, I know. These are the time slots that seasoned teachers have spent years earning. And when those aren't immediately available, the ego starts to grumble. I'm better than the 3 p.m. class. I didn't train this hard to teach 1 person at 1:30 on a Tuesday. Why are they giving me the leftovers? But here's the reality. You have to earn the good time slots. You don't get them assigned just because you finished your training. Every teacher you admire, every teacher you think of as successful, they've taught to the empty rooms. They've said yes to the awkward times. They've shown up consistently when no one else wanted to. And that's how they built their trust. That's how they earned their stripes. So when you turn down an opportunity because it's not ideal, what you're actually saying is, my time is more valuable than the time it takes to grow. And that's the ego talking, and it will keep you stuck. But when you say yes, even when it's not perfect, you're doing 2 critical things. First, you're practicing, and every hour you teach sharpens those skills. 2, you're becoming visible. Studio managers and owners notice who shows up. They notice who agrees to sub. Clients remember you, and they have a deep sense of loyalty to you. You are not too good for a 1-person class. You are not too advanced for an off hour. You are not above saying yes to whatever builds your momentum. In fact, those bad time slots, they're often when you're going to learn the most. You'll learn to adapt. You'll get one-on-one feedback from your clients. You'll learn patience, and eventually you'll build the kind of reputation that earns those peak hours rather than demands them. So be the teacher who says yes, who agrees to sub when the studio needs it, who shows up, who sees every opportunity as a stepping stone and not a step down. So this is my invitation to you today. Teach with presence, not performance. Teach with humility, not with hustle. Teach the student in front of you, not the critic in your head. You are enough, even when the room is half full. You are growing, even when the feedback is quiet. And you are building something bigger than any one class. You're building a career grounded in care. Let go of the ego and make room for mastery. Thank you for showing up to my TED Talk.